I'm not sure if you guys would be interested in this, but this is just for the patrons. This footage was taken about 7 months before my stroke, when I was still flying professionally. To my right is my co-pilot Ryan and the flight attendant Lauren. That day we had a flight from Fort Worth Meacham Airport to Aspen, Colorado, and return. The weather was generally good, but the clouds were fairly low, so it made for a fun approach into Aspen. With the checks all complete, we lined up on runway 34 and gave it the gas. You can see here the GoPro falls right off the dash, but since we were in the middle of a critical phase of flight, we just ignored it. Although I think it does give you a pretty good perspective of what we do. That's V1 and rotate. Once we're at a safe altitude, my co-pilot Ryan picks up the camera, puts it away. It was kind of a dreary day, but that's my favorite kind of flying. Really makes you work for it. Those that fly into Aspen Airport know the approach can be a little tricky. There's only one way in and one way out. And if you don't see the airport by around 13,000 feet, you're not getting in. There have been plenty of aircraft that have pushed the issue trying to get in when the weather wasn't good enough, and they've paid dearly for it. Because of the surrounding terrain, you can only land on runway 15 at Aspen Airport, which means oftentimes you have a tailwind when landing. Most aircraft have a limit of 10 knot tailwind on landing or takeoff, so you really have to time your arrival into Aspen with the weather perfect. Oftentimes there's airplanes taking off on runway 33 headed right at you. But generally speaking, air traffic control does a good job of keeping separation. Because of the elevation of the airport, your airspeed may be around 140 when you land, but your ground speed can be closer to 200. So it's extremely important to not land long and to get the brakes and the thrust reversers applied pretty much right away. You can see we made it in with plenty of room to spare, and we didn't even have to get on the brakes that hard. It wasn't too bad this trip, but during peak season this ramp can be absolutely packed with corporate aircraft. With the passengers and the bags all loaded up, we taxied back out to runway 33 to take off in the opposite direction that we landed in. Most people seem to think that landing is the most dangerous part about flying, but I think it's more takeoff, 'cause that's when something can really go wrong. So that's why you need to be constantly training to be ready for the unexpected. In this case, everything went well as expected, and we were airborne with no problems. This is some of my favorite flying right here. just skimming along the top of the clouds. You really get a feel for just how fast you're going through the air. It really is a neat feeling descending down into the cloud deck when you're on an approach. It's an even better feeling actually seeing the ground when you descend through the cloud deck. Coming back into Fort Worth, we lined up for the approach on runway 34, the same one we took off from that morning. It was a nice, fun, and safe flight all the way around, and maybe I'll get to do it again someday. I want to thank you all for being such great patrons. We really couldn't be doing this without you. So fair winds and calm seas, and we'll see you on down the track.